I don't know about you, but I find it incredibly hard to believe that it's been 100 days plus since, of course, His Majesty the King ascended to the throne. I mean, yes, 100 days. We often talk here, don't we, on the show about how quick time goes, all that sort of stuff. And I'm sure, like me, you look back on this particular year and we started out with such a different year, didn't we? I mean, do we all think that about years anyway? I'd love to know, as ever, what you think in the comments below. I mean, for me, I just remember thinking, oh, it's the Platinum Jubilee year. There'll be a few bumpy ups and downs, all of that sort of stuff. But nothing like that happened, of course, this year. Not just really for the cost of living crisis around the world that we've all endured, the other problems, and of course the sad demise of our wonderful monarch, Queen Elizabeth II. But then, of course, everything that happened around that. His Majesty the King, the ever-changing prime ministers over here in the United Kingdom. A lot of people are very critical of King Charles, and a lot of people are saying he should be the best king ever. And perhaps that could be true. After all, he is the longest waiting person to become king ever. But when you think about it, that doesn't necessarily mean you're ever prepared. This is a man who's had to deal with grief, the battling with his younger son, and so much more. So let's have a quick look at exactly how we think Prince Charles has done in his very first 100 days plus. And as ever, let me know what you think in the comments below. As I said, it's hard to believe, isn't it, that Prince Charles, as he then was, now as King Charles, has reached 100 days plus, a milestone on the throne. That's right, he's been a busy king so far, hundreds of days of handshakes, touring around the brilliant United Kingdom, and even a state banquet, all in the name of King Charles III. Now, while Harry and Meghan's documentary has been causing slight ructions, everywhere else we've been absolutely celebrating the fact that we're under a brand new reign. Now, sadly, when our late and beautiful monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, passed away on the 8th of September, yes, not that long ago, King Charles immediately ascended to the throne. Now, although he was officially proclaimed king a couple of days later, he admitted, like so many people, that he was actually dreading that particular day. But it was a role, of course, that he'd waited 7 decades to take on. Now, the British monarchy remained in mourning for 2 weeks after the Queen's death. Who could forget those colossal crowds, the queues, etc.? It was absolutely heartbreaking, saddening, but how respectful was it? Now, during that particular time, the King, as he then now was, conducted his very first televised address to the nation and basically told the UK that, we're all in this together, and he thanked simply everybody for their love and respect to his late mother. Charles also had some happy times too. He unveiled in September his royal cipher, which is incredible when you think it will slowly start to now appear on stamps, coins, post boxes, and his initials will soon be embroidered onto his own throne at Buckingham Palace. Been there, absolutely amazing. Now, just 6 weeks into his reign, he already welcomed not one, but 2 prime ministers, that's right, because he held his very first audience with the Right Honourable Liz Truss, but very quickly she was slightly removed, and the Right Honourable Rishi Sunak took over just a little bit over a month later. Now, if you can remember back in October, the King and Queen Consort visited the beautiful area that is Scotland to confer the city status on Dunfermline. This was something that our late and beautiful monarch wished to do, but sadly it was not to be. Now, there was a slight hiccup on a royal walkabout also in November, simply because someone decided to throw an egg. Now, I'm not laughing, but you kind of think, how cool was Prince Charles? Totally ignored it, carried on, met everybody. Way to go, King. Just over a week later, King Charles celebrated his 74th birthday. He was actually the oldest person ever to assume the British throne. Another milestone also for the very first time was a state banquet on November the 23rd. Incredible, at Buckingham Palace. He welcomed the South African President Cyril Ramaphosa during a lavish event which saw, of course, the beautiful Catherine and, of course, now our Prince of Wales, William, in attendance. Now, in recent days, the King popped over to Westminster and the Houses of Parliament to unveil a plaque to commemorate where the Queen was lying in state during that very sad time in September. And then, of course, at that particular event, there was this moment where he sweetly picked up a lady's stick which had fallen down, possibly in shock at being so close to His Majesty the King. Who knows? He carries on though, he's incredibly busy, incredibly interested in what's happening in his world, in his reign, and he popped into a Jewish community centre ahead of the Hanukkah celebrations. Now, what's interesting here is, sadly for Harry and Meghan, it looks like King Charles's popularity is soaring, while theirs is plummeting. We're all looking forward to next year's coronation on May the 6th. So much for watching that. I hope you enjoyed it. It was just nice to share with you, some of the highlights that have happened over the first plus 100 days. And as I say, it's gone like a flash, hasn't it? I don't know if he feels the same. Next year is going to be even harder, isn't it? More busy, more demanding. And let's not forget, His Majesty the King is not necessarily in the first flush of youth. And I mean that kindly, it's a very demanding role. And we have to applaud what he's undertaken so far. I mean, he's, showed no signs of slowing up, seems more energetic than ever. Whatever he's taking, I wouldn't mind some of it myself, would you? So let's wish him well. And of course, the Queen Consort Camilla for a very spectacular coronation as we start to slide into, once again, a brand new year of 2023. And no doubt, this time next year, we'll all be sitting down, having a pot of tea and a conversation about just how fast 2023 went. As ever, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.